All right, we're now live on YouTube. We'll be live on Facebook momentarily. All right, so good evening. Good evening to everyone out there on YouTube. Welcome to Nick's Knowledge and Notions NQ Science Series, brought to you by DJ the Money Coach, Seven Spears of Money in Duransburg International. My name is Nick Westbrooks. Of course, this is my show. And, as always, I have DJ the Money Coach here with me to back me up on the financial perspective here. We both been working hard this week, as every week, but, this week has been even more work, but we welcome it. We got to pay the cost to be the boss. So what's going on, DJ? How you feeling tonight?
Man, everything's great, Nick. I'm going to bring the energy back, baby. I had to bring more energy than the last time. Nobody's perfect, but, hey, I'm back full gauge, was out on a working vacay, and now I'm back. Like you said, man, we've been working hard, man. Been working hard. So we putting these seeds in the ground, and we're doing great work, and we're meeting with a lot of great people, man. Had a lot of great people met with over the past 7 days. Had some great feedback from some people. Really appreciate the authenticity of what we do, and appreciate the transparency as well. And they even said the down-to-earthness as well. So I appreciate you guys who said that, and we appreciate it because we always want to be 100% who we are. No fluff, no frills, just keeping it real. That's what we're about. So, I'm DJ the Money Coach, and I'm excited. So you should know me by now, but if you haven't, 20 years ago, just like you, had $40,000 worth of consumable debt, 525 credit score. Long story short, road to wealth. 12 months took my credit score to 720. 24 months after that took my credit score over 800. And I always like to show them, baby. Proof is in the pudding, baby. Proof is in the pudding. There we go.
Those receipts.
There we go, baby.
Those receipts.
Yeah, so my receipts have been like that for 17 straight years. 800. Consumer debt free 2002. Became financially independent in 2008 with a six-figure income passively through business, real estate, and dividend stocks, and also eclipsed seven-figure net worth. And I'm not excited about that. What I'm most excited about is that I went out and helped 20,000 people in 20 years become consumer debt free and become financially independent by working with churches, non-for-profits, businesses, and individuals on platforms like this across the country. And we used to travel all the time through 7-10 states on the ordinary. So now we're on this platform with my man Nick Westbrooks doing his awesome show, Nick's Knowledge. Man, that's a powerful NQ, baby. So that's my story, and I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. And we thank you for coming out on the show. Share it with everybody and spread the gospel, because we're gonna keep it real with you guys and help 2020 end on a greater note.
That's right. Yeah, so DJ's help over 20,000 people, and he can help you too. So we're here for you. If you've watched our previous shows, you've seen how we've helped others, and you see how you can receive this help as well. So of course, before we get in, of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Seven Spears of Money. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Seven Spears of Money, and get on our email list. And you can do that by visiting DJThemoneyCoach.com. All right, so let's jump right in to the topic for tonight. Looking at the date, today is September 11th, 2020. Now this is the 19th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. So I thought it would be fitting to have a little reflection on that. And since this is the Seven Spears of Money, also discuss the economic impact and effect of, September 11th, since the time it happened, 19 years later. So I figured I would just start off with a reflection of my experience with it, which isn't too detailed. I was alive for it, but I was very young. I was about 10 or 11 at the time in fifth grade. And I, just remember being in school, being in class and, getting the announcement over the PA system, telling our teacher to turn on the TV. This was the time when all the classrooms had a television that was connected to, basic cable, to where you can get the news channels, like channels, 2, 4, 7, so on and so forth. And, my teacher turned on the TV and we were watching, the live coverage of the terrorist attacks in New York City, and I can say, being at that age, it didn't impact me as much as it did when I became an adult, maybe about, a decade later when I was in my early 20s. Especially when I visited the 9/11 memorial exhibit at the museum in Washington, D.C. That was a very, emotional exhibit, a lot of photography and images and stories, being told. And yeah, and I'd start to learn how much the country has changed since then. Being that young back in the early 2000s, I really didn't have a reference point or understanding of what life was like, or how life changed between the 90s and the 2000s. So, having conversations with older individuals, I started to gain a better understanding of how different, life was, and how much has changed. Just the most immediate thing that affects most people in this country is travel. So I haven't, prior to 2006, I haven't been I was never on an airplane before. I had traveling down to Tennessee for a family reunion. 2006 was my first time being on an airplane. So I didn't know what it was like to travel on an airplane prior to 9/11, and knowing that you can quickly and easily just go through the airport, without going through all these screening processes and, taking off your shoes and your belt and things like that. So that was something that I never experienced, but older people who experienced that, that was a significant change, but it became this quote unquote new normal, and we're starting to see that phrase again with with this global pandemic, or however you want to characterize it. But so you had that significant change. You also had the change with surveillance, in the Patriot Act. So you have the government surveilling your communications, your email, and your telephone, a lot more, and that's especially impactful with this new technology that we have developing throughout the 2000s. So that was another major thing. So so I'll go. So that's my reflection there. I'm going to let DJ jump in. He was, he was right in the. He wasn't right in the midst of it in terms of the location, but he he experienced it as an adult. And probably has a more vivid experience with it, and felt the impact even more during that time than I had. So DJ, why don't you jump in and talk about your memories and experience with 9/11?
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because there was two things going on with me business-wise in September 1st, 2001. One, I was still in the cleaning business. And since cleaning primarily was done in the late night, we would go clean factories from, 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. So primarily, I was in bed because I was just coming off a night shift, running my crew, and I got a call from my mother. I remember it vividly, man. I was laying in the bed, getting my regular sleep, and my mother called me. She was like, "Where are you?" I was like, "I'm in the bed. What's going on?" She's like, turn on the television right now. It's an emergency." I said, "Well, what's the emergency?" She said, the Twin Towers are going down. We being attacked." And I couldn't even believe it, man, to be honest with you. I was like, what? Because you get off a late night shift working and doing all these plants that we were cleaning across Chicagoland, multitude, dude, you're tired. I mean, you literally get in, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. So I probably would sleep for about an hour and a half because of having just got off these shifts. But then when I saw what was happening, it was just, man, I don't even like this word, but it was surreal because I couldn't understand the magnitude of what I was seeing with my own eyes. And then when I saw the second plane, crash, and then the building just crumbled, I was like, man, dude, this is like a movie. This is like watching a Godzilla movie, because there's no way I could physically comprehend a building imploding from an airplane impact. And as far as the markets, and I was just getting into the security business as well. So I was in the cleaning business and I was just getting into the security business. So I think I just got my license. I just got my securities license. So what impacted the country was I did do a lot of traveling prior to. So that was an amazing difference, because I was I was like 32. Yeah, 30. I was like 32, 31 years of age. And you used to be able to just hop up, go to the airport, walk right through, man, no big deal. But then it got to the point where, dude, when you saw these people, and I remember I went to Mexico that December, for my birthday. And you talking about paranoid, dude. You start looking at people differently. And I remember sitting on a plane, and it was a guy, man, he was fidgeting. He kind of looked like one of them guys. And I'm like, oh, man, dude, we might be under another attack, So you want to, get the attendance, attention and everything. And you're like, man, dude, this dude about to blow up this plane is going to be end of life. So making the trip to Mexico. Then I went to Fiji a year later. And, man, my head was on a swivel for a long time. I wasn't going to stop traveling. But at the same time, man, you had this feeling like, man, dude, am I being, in the wrong place at the right time that something like this can happen? And then when you learn from the security standpoint that the cats who did this, they shorted the market, which means they knew that they were going to blow up, these important buildings in the financial industry, and they attacked the Pentagon. The whole market collapsed and trillions of dollars were lost. But it turned out before they caught these guys had made off with billions of dollars by shorting stock. And if you don't know what shorting stock is, it's basically saying that if a stock is worth $1, you expecting something is going to happen in the market. It's going to make that stock worth 80 cents, 50 cents, go down to zero. So these guys that bombed the buildings, somebody financed it and shorted the whole market and made literally, I think, like 100, 200, 300 billion dollars.
Wow. Before
they caught them, because they anticipated what was going to happen. So every stock they said was going to drop down, 70, 80% of the value, which ended up happening. So that put a run on the market, and the market was shut down for several days, and all events across the country were shut down. Football, I think, baseball was in the playoffs at that time. So all that stuff came to a screeching halt. And the first thing you knew is that since I lived in a major metropolitan city in Chicago at the time, our downtown, man, became like a barricade where the Sears Tower, which it was called at the time, they started putting these things that come out of the ground, like at the White House, where you couldn't get in front of it. They blocked all that stuff off, man.
Wow.
It was like martial law. So I remember that, because you could just go anywhere, man. And all of a sudden, man, next thing you know, man, hey, Sears Tower is the next building's coming down. And you living in this major city like Chicago, New York, dude, you like, man, dude, I got to get up out of here. I got to stay safe. At the same time, I got to take care of my film, but you're walking around literally afraid, petrified.
Wow.
And then after you start, even though I said I did go on trips, I'm still like, man, I want to live my life, but you're looking over your shoulder everywhere you're going for at least 24 months till things got back to a norm. But like you said, they didn't think about it so long ago, 19 years, that now the stuff that we're doing in the airport, man, it's normal. But now we adjusting to a new norm with this pandemic that we have, or what they call it, the pandemic. So it's like people are setting things in motion that are changing everybody's life for the sake of greed. At the end of the day, you know, all these attacks on America and on the world, all based on greed, all of them. And once you get people into a fear mindset, dude, they start buying things that they normally wouldn't buy for protection, and then that creates, you know, industries that go up. So just like now, you have, you know, the norm where, you know, everybody is now going to be used to having one of these silly things, you know, and that industry has got to be making trillions of dollars, billions of dollars now. Think about it. There's very few places you can go without having those on. And me personally, dude, I wear those as least as I possibly can. One, it's hard to breathe through the things. Number one.
Yep.
Number two, if it's a viral, virus that's airborne, really, how is that going to stop it? And then here's the idiocy of it. If I go to a restaurant, walking in a restaurant, I got to have the mask on. But if I sit down and eat, I can take it off.
You can take it off, yeah.
I was just on the airplane. So, you know, I'm on here on the airplane. And again, you're on the airplane, they got the mask on. But hey, again, I go to the bathroom, I want to put something in my mouth. And you're sitting next to people that you're going to tell me that mask, and I'm sitting literally not even a foot, because the plane that I flew on, they sold the aisle seat. I mean, not the aisle seat, the middle seats. I've been on a plane, I think 5 times since this has happened. And 3 of the flights, none of the middle seats were occupied. 2 of the flights, every seat was occupied. So I'm not going to call out the carrier, but you're sitting there and you're like, man, dude, if this is real, I'm contaminated.
Right.
How much stop rubbing up against some cat? And the flight I was just on, dude, big old dude was sitting on the window of me, and he's bumping me and stuff. And I'm like, how do I know this dude ain't got nothing? Because on this flight, they didn't take your temperature or anything.
Right. Yeah.
They just trust you to police yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But fortunately for me, I took my temperature. I've had physical, been to the dentist a couple of times, and I'm good to go. But I don't know if you're good to go. Right. So the ramifications of you taking that back and forth to your family outside of 9/11, man, yeah, it was a very difficult time living in a major city. Everybody was intense. They allowed themselves to bring in that fear to make major changes that affect you that had nothing to do with what was going on, and it changed the narrative in your life. And now everybody became, a potential, terrorist. Everybody became a potential person that was, on America's most wanted list. And then you find out that all this stuff was put together. And again, when you follow the money, all this stuff was based on greed, because even the numbers, and even though you were in 5th grade, I think, were you still in New Jersey? So you were closer to the venue, and with the breakout, more people died from inhaling the contaminants in the air than actually were in those buildings. And it's in one life lost is one too many, but they were, 20, 30, 40,000 people died. And then at the end of the day, I think there were only like 2,000 people, just under 2,000 people passed. But people end up having, like firefighters, police, first responders, them people end up having major problems and died 2-3 years later. And that was the major tragedy in of itself. People were going in and help save lives, and they got all of them contaminants and pollutants in their lungs, suffocated, got carcinogenics in their bodies, and they died. And it was sad, man. It was sad. Yeah. But at that point in time, you know what the irony of it was too? We had just came off the .com scare. When America went from 1999 to 2000, they thought that everything was going to stop because it was programmed to go to zero, that planes and stuff would start falling out the air because the numbers wouldn't switch, because the computer system was based on 0 to 99. And that was a big scare. And since that didn't happen, and this happened, that just brought in a whole different set of mind that you had to go around. And we really didn't get up out of that scare to probably about 2004, and things got back into the norm. The market started going up. People started, getting more aggressive with investing, and they brought the interest rates down, kind of like they did now, to incentivize the economy and stimulate the economy. So it's a parallel. As far as my business, the irony of it is, when I was in the cleaning business, we ended up getting more jobs. Again, just like these guys now, they're in the cleaning business. We got more jobs because all the stuff that was made available that had to be covered from a sanitary standpoint, protection standpoint, those industries went up, just like they're doing right now. And it makes you think that, again, all this stuff could be planned.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned the industries part of it, because there's a lot of money connected to that, on the heels of the attack, because of course I mentioned the surveillance, in the airports. Of course you had the creation of the TSA.
That's right. Homeland Security was created.
Yeah, Homeland Security too. Yep.
So billions of dollars.
Yep. Those new agencies. And then of course all that insurance.
The machines. That's one thing I don't like about it. The machines, the radiation, the X-ray, body X-ray, see your whole body. Dude, that was crazy. I remember that too, man. I was like, man, what's this? Got to take your belt off. You got to go through this machine. Dude, it's like your freedoms. That another thing. Your freedoms were taken. Those freedoms were never given back. But here's the irony of it is, when I traveled out of the country, none of those countries that I traveled to, Fiji, Mexico, Bahamas, none of them had those apparatuses. You could walk through like it was normal pre 9/11.
Wow.
Now, I haven't been out the country during this pandemic, but I bet you it's the same thing, that they are not as on guard as we are with this pandemic. But then again, maybe they are, because I know was looking at going to Hawaii and was looking to go back to Mexico, and they had something like you had to be in quarantine for 14 days. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine, sister, just flew out to a place where she had to stop in Dubai, and she got to stay in the airport, I think for 48 or 72 hours, something like that. Some crazy thing. She had to stay in the airport at Dubai, just passing through on quarantine, and to go to, I think, a place called Mauritius, which is this exotic island outside of in Africa. This resort. And once she gets there, she's got to be quarantined for another 12 days.
Wow. But
imagine if she was going there on vacation, but she's actually going there for her job. But her job's covering all that, so she's going to get paid. But who can afford to do that? Who can afford to go to a place and you got to be quarantined for 7, 12, 14 days? Who has that kind of time if they ain't free? And who has the money to burn to be stood up here quarantined, just like these cats in the bubble on the basketball? Dude, I couldn't even imagine not being able to go out my house for yet alone more than a day, yet alone 7, 12 days, man. That's crazy. So I put, some trips on pause, because I'm not doing it, because you mess around and they hit you with that fever thing, and it comes up 1 degree too high by accident because they got these false positives. Oh, you're quarantined. Now you can't even afford to be there. You got to get your ticket. They don't refund any of that stuff. But like you said, surveillance, more money being made, products, sanitizers, them cats making a killing. And unfortunately, man, I believe this is a plan, because they're going to continue to do this and try to make this force this a norm. And again, take away your personal rights. Right to assemble, freedom of speech, force vaccines on people. And again, follow the money. Follow who has, and here's the irony about this. And again, this is getting away from 9/11, but it's the same thing. Follow who has the actual patent on the actual coronavirus, which I didn't even know you could patent the virus.
Wow.
So it's got to be the same thing with 9/11, man. And nowadays, since it's happened, I don't even know if people really stood and stopped, but the people who passed away and the first responders who lost family members, this day is going to be more important to them than any day in their lives, because you lost more civil servants and first responders ever that I could imagine at one time.
Yeah, yeah. And what's even more impactful is the fact that first responders are still getting sick and passing away to this day.
Right.
That's the wild thing about it.
And the insurance companies are not even covering it, man.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of insurance, that was on back in 2001 when that happened. Man, those insurance companies lost a lot of money.
But guess what? I can feel sorry for them, because at the same time, they made trillions of dollars. And then guess what? 2008, what happened? They got bailed out. Too big to fail by Obama. Got bailed out. The stimulus package that they put together for $700 billion. That money, I remember when AIG, they busted them cats. Their executives, probably like a month later, they out at this island taking this extremely expensive trip right after they had been given billions of dollars by the Obama administration.
So they pretty much told these insurance companies, don't worry that you lost all this money after the September 11th attacks. We'll take care of you later on.
Yeah, the insurance companies, the banks, they pad their pocket, man. The greed and the bigger people, they get bigger and bigger. And the only person that gets damaged by this are people are the small guys.
Yeah.
You get wiped out. I mean, matter of fact, like right now, I was just thinking about it. I was looking at one of my real estate things, man, and again, man, the government. Dude, I've got a property that freaking tenant, because of the moratorium on evictions, has been living in my property for 6 months, rent freaking free. I just got my statement about 3 of my properties and 3 or 4 of my properties up in Michigan, and one of them got a tenant. And I'm just saying to myself, I understand you may have a job, but 6 freaking months, you can't come up with a couple $100 to say, you know what? I don't want to sit up here and be taking something that I don't deserve to have. But because the government and the knucklehead governor put a moratorium on evictions, I can't get this person evicted out of my property that I've lost $4,200, man.
Wow.
But what if I needed to live off that $4,200 to take care of my 4 children, put a roof over my head? But this person, got a family, and I'm just going back, because, I used to, grew up in a single parent household for several years. My mother would never do anything like that. My mother would figure out how to make some type of arrangement to pay her bills. But this person, using the situation, and just like 9/11, oh, the government says you don't have to do A, B, C, and D. I'm just going to live. And you don't feel no guilt, no remorse. But if I go evict them, guess what happens to me? I get thrown in jail. Ain't that something? I was mad. They paid me to look at that statement again today. I looked at that statement. Yeah, that. Damn, this person owed me $4,200.
Wow.
And ain't picked up a phone, ain't called our property management and said nothing about, hey, can I make an arrangement? I lost my job. But you feeding your kids. You going out and about. I know you are, because I was just in town. So from March to August, you ain't make. But here, check this out. But my other tenants, all paying they payments on time, just like that. Ain't that something?
Yeah.
Amazing, man.
It
Amazing. Is. But if I walk up there, threw their stuff on the street, they'll be locking me up, throwing me under the damn jail. But you're using, COVID. I don't have. You gotta have something you eating. How you eating? for 6 months. Your children going to school. How you putting clothes on their back? But you got free housing. And that goes out to all the landlords out there. I feel your pain. And I thank all the tenants out there who are paying their rent on time or made arrangements with their landlords about not getting something for nothing. Man, what these two catastrophic events have done, it's like anything else. They say, hey, man, you know what money does? It magnifies who you are. If you're a good person, you become great. If you're a shady person, you become worse. So what's the message you can teach your children by being like that? But we quick to play the victim card, you know, because there were a lot of victims in 9/11, and there were a lot of people that ran away with the bag like AIG. It's amazing, man.
It is. It is. It is. And yeah, and last week, and you know, and another area to follow the money is the military, of course. And and I just saw the quote from President Trump last week. I think I read it in Business Insider, where he says that the military, I'm paraphrasing, the military loves going to war because it keeps these weapons companies happy. so think about how much money was generated in war, and just think about that. We have ongoing wars that started, 17, 18 years ago that are still going on now.
Yeah. From 9/11. That was the pursuit of Osama bin Laden.
Yep.
Trillions of dollars to find a cat who was connected to the president at that time. Let him get out of the country when that happened. Ain't that something?
Yeah, yeah, it's deep. Yeah, like you said, follow the money. follow the money, man.
So the moral of this story is, if you got access to money, power, opportunity, and you're doing it legally, ethically, and morally sound, never apologize for it, bro. Never apologize for it. Take advantage of it and get what you have earned through your spheres of influence. Because on the opposite side of that, nobody gonna care if somebody's foot is on your neck. That's the sad reality of it. And people with character, they always stand up. People without character, they're always doing shady stuff in the dark and trying to eliminate. I mean, just matter of fact, football player, New York Jet, just got caught defrauding the SBA $24 million with the PPE loan.
Oh yeah, the relief. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, with the relief loans.
Come on, man. It's people out here who can't open up their businesses, and you out here pilfering. And the dude that was in Florida who went and bought Ferraris.
Yep. Remember that too.
You got businesses that can't open because the government said, can't open your business right now. And it's funny, man. I feel sorry for the bowling alleys, the movie theaters.
Yep.
Things that would add some good value at home. And I've got a good friend of mine that was a sponsor over at Main Event, which is like Dave and Buster's. They've been closed, man. And my guy, great guy, named Joseph. Man, I hope he's still going strong. And I don't know how much longer they're gonna be able to pay them. But even now, man, they're furloughing. A lot of organizations just tried to stay the course, and they furloughing. But again, look at the greed. Look at football. Oh man, we play football. SEC, we playing. we getting that money. It's amazing.
It is.
Dude, man, I'm telling you, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so think. So you've made it through 9/11. You made it through 2008. Of course you're doing great. During this coronavirus pandemic. So why? So why don't you tell the people how you were able to do so well, and what can these business owners learn about weathering the storms of these national disasters and tragedies that usually impact the economy in a negative way?
Well, first and foremost, man, you got to give praise and honor to God first and foremost. Okay. So my grandmother taught me to say, hey, man, if you lose money, you lost nothing. If you lose a friend, you lost something. But if you lose your name, you lost everything. So the first catastrophic event, which would have been, 9/11 across the landscape, I was just fortunate, man, to be in the right industry at the right time. Did I plan to be in the industry I was in? Absolutely not. I had no desire growing up, aspirations to be in the cleaning business. None. But I started building my cleaning business at the end of '96 and built it very strongly to seven figures. By that time that I was servicing major plants and major hotels and condominiums in downtown Chicago, that when that hit, man, I just was at the right place at the right time that made my industry and my needs more needed. So that was just luck. That was luck that I was in the right industry, but it wasn't luck that I planned to be in that industry. So what I mean is I did the research, Nick. I read books. I studied what was going on in the economy in Chicago, and the gentrification was going on in certain areas in the Southern Loop. So anybody from Chicago know what I'm talking about. So as I saw the reverse migration from the suburbs back to the inner city in the downtown southern part of the Loop, I built my business by studying, and I had read, which I recommend to all my clients, Good to Great. So I read Good to Great, and I read, the hedgehog concept that talks about 3 major things that you got to have to be successful in any business. Number 1, have a passion for what you do. Number 2, have the ability to be number 1 in your industry. And number 3, what's the economic vehicle that drives people in front of your bus to do business with you? So I had mastered those. From 96 to 99, I carved out a very niche-oriented cleaning business that was high-end on the residential side, and then it spilled over into the commercial side. And then I started doing industrial complexes, factories, hotels. And here's the irony. I even had an accepted offer from Trump Towers when it was built in Chicago. But we turned it down. We didn't turn it down because they want to do business. I just couldn't get enough people. So when that happened and people needed what I provided in the service cleaning industry, it was a godsend, really. Okay. So, but having planned ahead and knew my business, that made me take advantage and make that quantum leap that my business got better. I also had just gotten to the security business because I knew that people in my age group, young professionals, need services. So when that happened, a lot of things were very important to people and they got more serious about their finances. Same thing that's happening now. People are young, concerned about their finances. They're going to go seek out professionals that are advisors, insurance agents, estate planners, because, hey, they want to be prepared. So in 2008, having had been in the business for a long time, I knew I was lucky in 2001 from being in the right industry. I wasn't lucky that I got in business. Let me preface that. I planned to be in that business. I created a niche, and I knew I could do something better than anybody else. So that plan, the 4 Ps that I talk about, professionalism, persistence, perseverance, and producing. So I was doing that on the regular. Okay. I was grinding. I sacrificed. I sold my house. I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment, and I planned for the future. So I got the serendipity of a negative situation became a blessing to me and my family. Okay. So after that happened, if you go through a major catastrophic event, then what should you do? You should plan for the future for things when they don't go right. That rainy day fund, that emergency fund, that business interruption insurance, that, replacement income insurance. Because if you're lucky to be going up and you see most everybody else going down, then you should say, hey, man, I just got lucky that knock didn't come to my door. So in 2008, having been in the security business and started seeing the greed that was happening, people getting these loans that they didn't qualify. No doc, limited doc loans, and I'm talking about mortgages where people could just make up their income and get a mortgage, get investment property. And I knew there was no assets really backed behind that with derivatives and swaps. So I knew that was going to end up collapsing because I'm a studier of business. So that second time, I was prepared because I was in the industry and I was, excuse me, I was actually a minority owner in a mortgage banking company. And that's when I wrote my book. That's exactly when I wrote my book, The ABCs, Common Sense Strategy, Achieving American Dream. I wrote this book because I studied the S&L crisis that happened in the 80s, that happened under the watch of Reagan and George Bush 1, where these greedy bankers loan money to unqualified buddies and friends of hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, and they bailed them out in the S&L loan scandal. And since I knew that happened, I said, you know what? This credit derivative swap thing is similar to what's going on in the S&L scandal. I said, this is about to crash too. So I sat in my office for about 3 months and I carved out and wrote this book. And I identified people's greed. I talked about how, people were greedy, message versus money. The love of money is the root of all evil. So I showed how these things were going to start happening. And then I talked about responsibility and accountability. So people were like, man, well, you kind of prophesied. I said, no, I didn't prophesize. All I did was I studied the market. And another dude who studied the market in a movie that's called The Big Short, where he knew that everything was overvalued by these negative credit mortgages and stuff and backings of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And he short the whole mortgage industry where they didn't even pay him all the money that they should have paid him when he did it legally, ethically, and morally sound and created an algorithm that actually anticipated all these negative swaps that couldn't be sold across the country, across the pond anymore. China couldn't buy enough of them. Japan couldn't buy enough of them. And the market stepped dropping. And he went from being negative hundreds of millions to positive hundreds of millions where they just stopped paying him. Mm. So I was on the same lane as he was, not in the hundreds of millions, but I saw where the market was going, saw the greed, prepared myself in 2008, where I pulled out my investments in my portfolio and went to cash like 3 months before the market dropped. Mm. And one of the identifiers was in the mortgage business when our property values started going down because we were overinflating the values in this collective unit, but nothing illegal, but we were just making more improvements in a low income value where it's just not possible. You could build a mini mansion and it'd be worth $300,000, even though it's got everything in it. So a guy named Carlton Sheet said the key to wealth is getting the least expensive house in the best community because it'll always increase in value. He said, never buy the biggest house in the lowest community because it can only get so much value to it. And nobody's going to go in the hood and buy a $500,000 house when houses are 60, 70, 80,000 and they got to worry about theft and crime. So we start building houses, putting a little bit too much in these working class communities where houses were worth 120, 140, and then all of a sudden we couldn't get that valuation. So at the time, I think I had about 6, 8, 9 properties myself personally. And then we noticed it was getting harder to refinance. I said, oh man, something's about to happen. And sure enough, I got rid of all my properties and stuff for 2, and I lost on 2, but I didn't lose because I was making so much profit from the hard money lending and the refinancing that I still made money. But then I said, you know what? I got to get my paper assets and go to cash. I went to cash, and sure enough, about 3 months later, man, the whole market collapsed. And I had people that were losing 60, 70% valuations of their portfolio. And I was lucky that I only lost like 6%. But again, because I was following the trends like the guy, too big to fail in The Big Short. So that one prepared me for this one because back in 2015, I decided that, you know what, I need to start putting my business online. And I don't mean online on social media. I mean online and doing my consultations. Okay. So just like, we had our meetings today that you sent out the links for our clients and our members of 7 Spheres of Money. I started doing that in 2015, the end of 2014, because a lot of my expenses to running the business were going to meetings. So if I would go to somebody's house and they don't be at their house, or I'm at my office and they don't come to office, that's lost time and lost money. So I said, what's the best way to get around that? Do a meeting, on Skype, do a meeting on Zoom. And that was before anybody was really using this stuff. And that right there cut my cost by almost 70%. But you know what it did for my profits? It increased my profits by almost 65%. Because think about it, no gas, no travel, no unnecessary eating and stuff like that. So I jumped online, created a platform, started doing some virtual assistants out in the Philippines, and I started making all my clients see me on the internet. And if they really wanted to see me in person, they had to pay more. Or they had to have an X amount of net worth that I knew it was worth the time. So that third go around made it where now, where you said the business is doing great, which it is doing better than it was doing last year. We're up by like 35, 40% right now, year to date, is because I was already online. I didn't have to make a transformation like everybody else did. I already told you what we needed to do, how to set up these platforms, how to get people, and we didn't have to make any major adjustments because we already have been doing it. Send me this information, send me that information, and then see what happens to make it even more comfortable. Even when bigger companies have the technology and the money, if they hadn't been doing it, that silent confidence exudes from you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, this ain't this first rodeo for this person or the first time they doing it, even though you may be a little bit nervous. And some of the things we get people asking, hey man, I don't feel comfortable sending my documentation over the internet. But I'm already able to put that at ease by saying, I've been doing this since 2015. I've got encrypted my own platform, my own server. I don't use Google. I don't use Yahoo. So your stuff is protected. And I still have a hardline fax. So we easily get a higher return and a higher closure ratio with people because this ain't no big deal to us. I'm not saying the pandemic, but the access and the utilization of the technology, we're comfortable in our skin that people feel A-okay. And you know, just like last year, when you met me, the platform we were using to do the webinar was raggedy. But my system was ironclad, top notch. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that separated us from everybody. And then when we added this better technology on the presentation side, we just went through the roof, man. Just went through the roof. So that's what I would recommend for business owners to do, is to always be an early adopter. Always be an early adopter to technology. You know, if you're not changing and growing, you're going to be out of business. One thing is constant, change is constant. And if you get too fat and you ain't having any agitation, guess what? Something's about to happen that you're not going to like. So I always try to stay ahead in the technology. I always try to stay in tune with what people are doing that are new from technology, but I don't change my principles. And then the other thing is, like anybody else, put good, solid people around you that are not doing it for the money, but they're doing it for the passion. They're doing it for the contribution to society to make society better. And they're looking at a model where they're going from, you know, struggle to success to creating significance, which is legacy. So that's how we've been able to level the playing field. And just like, you know, I've always been called DJ the Money Coach, but we figured, hey, you know what? Why not start a company, DJ the Money Coach? Because we already had DI, we already had the 7 spheres of money. But if I'm the guy that is going to come on this platform, the social media platform, on these venues, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever medium you guys tell me that I should be on, then I should have that incorporated, because that's another new iteration and orientation of our message. But the message is going back to 2000. And so now I can separate ourselves again, and we can bring the 7 spheres of money and put people on that we've been working with for 15, 17 years. And that's one of the greatest things that we find out, is that what people say to us, man, love the transparency. Love the fact that we can actually connect with you all the time. You know, love the fact that, you know, you have an integral, you know, system that's very user friendly in terms of us being accessible to them, and we don't make it complicated. And even had a person say, hey man, I spent money with somebody who everybody would know, and they didn't deliver the product. And then when we have people who may not like something that we did, what's the first thing we do? Hey, no problem, let's make it right. Because we're not out here trying to get over nobody, and we're not perfect, but we're sincere, we're authentic, and we transparent, and we work with integrity. So those are the things that if you're starting a business right now as a small business owner, you should live on those. Your name is your bond. Are you going to hit it out of the park every time performance? Probably not, because nobody's perfect. But if you treat people, there's the 3 rules that I talk about. There's the silver rule, the golden rule, and the platinum rule. The platinum rule I made up, which is the best rule. The silver rule is what most businesses do. They do the least they have to do legally, ethically, morally to get your money. At the end of the day, they really don't give a rip about you. Let's keep it 100. Or they get to a growth standpoint where they made so much money, they start forgetting about the little things that got them to where they are, and they take them for granted. And I've done that before. I did it in my cleaning business. I ain't gonna lie. Everybody does it. And then you have the golden rule. That's do unto others you want to be done unto. But the best rule on the planet, which most people don't even have any clue about, is the platinum rule. The platinum rule is, Nick, you like t-shirts, you like baseball caps. I'm buying. You did something great for us. I got $100 and you tell me, hey, DJ, I want the big shirt. I want, my favorite team. And I go buy you the Chicago shirt because I'm from Chicago, even though it's brand new. Mm-hmm. And I get you the DJ, the Money Coach cap, because it's my name and it's brand new. And I give it to you. You're excited you got something new, but you don't feel overwhelmed with joy because I didn't give you exactly what you asked me for. And that's the platinum rule. And that's the rule that is the hardest one to subscribe to. Do unto people the way they want to be done unto, because our likes are going to be different, but our principles will be the same. So if I gave you the right shirt that you like, gave you the right cap that you like, even though I didn't like it, I applied the platinum rule. Or if I rescheduled a meeting with you and I made myself inconvenient to make you convenient and comfortable, like I was doing today with a couple of our clients, and spending, like we have this program that's called the Rookie Package, right? That everybody gets from us. It gives you a snapshot of how we can work with you. And basically it gives you 3 meetings with us, 30 to 45 minutes. And, after that, you can determine if you want to work with us. But some of our clients, they need so much help. I'll spend 45 to an hour and a half with them. And I don't charge them anything extra. But we've been in programs where what did the dude do? Was doing our ad thing. I don't even think the dude even got back to us, now that I think about it. They told us he was going to call us back, remember?
Yeah, I remember, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we spent $500. But as soon as that clock hit that time, he was out. Was he not?
Yeah.
But we got our money back on the other end, and we're going to get that of the service back. But that's the way it is. With these platforms, cats, oh, man, it's a hard 30 minutes. Boom, they gone. So that's what we've done. It's a long explanation, but that's what we can live our hat on. And that's what my children will be proud of their dad, is that I'm not out here trying to knock people over the head for $1. I want them, when they see me, I don't care if you like me, but you're going to respect me because I work hard. I work with authenticity, and, I work with transparency, and I admit when I make mistakes. And when I make mistakes, I tell people and ask them before they even ask us. This is another thing. Provide a solution before they have to provide one for you. And when one of the reasons why I was a little bit off my tilter last week, the hotel I was staying at, bad experience, man. Bad, and I had stayed at the hotel twice before that the experience was good, and they just told me, hey, man, we ain't gonna do nothing for you. So you know what? I called up the headquarters, and I called them out. But they should have been like, hey, Mr. DJ, the Money Coach, you just stayed here 3 times over the past 6 months. Let's go ahead and take care of because you're probably coming back. But now I'm not. So they just lost thousands of dollars.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So those core things, principles never change. No matter what the catastrophic event, no matter what the advent of technology, principles, character never change. So we'll drop our hat on that all day. And when we hooked up with Erica, and I'll let you talk to, I ain't trying to put no shine on me, but what did I do that we didn't even have to do? That be real with me. Tell me what somebody had done what I did.
Yeah, well,
we don't have to mention no names, but we're talking about what we did. And what you think about it? Because I didn't have to do nothing.
Right, 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 right. Well, we have a number of projects that that we were working on, with her, in terms of the big business deal, that we had on the table, and that was a big one right there. You were able to provide, solutions and services that she didn't know she needed, because she wasn't as knowledgeable or as familiar with with what she would need in order to acquire this business and run this business successfully. So that's one thing. Another thing we did was, you also shared some revenue with her when we came on the platform, and marketed and sold your course. You didn't negotiate that beforehand, but because of your principles, you shared that revenue, with her. And that's not something that she asked for. That's not something that was discussed beforehand. You just decided to do that, just based on your principles.
Man. And no, that's what my mom taught me. That's what my father taught me. And even the book we're reading that we're going to talk about next week, man, that epitomizes that. And again, that's not trying to pat myself on the back by any stretch, form. And even with the person that connected us, I was like, hey, if we're winning, they should be winning. And that's where we have a principle that's called the win-win-win formula. If you want to be successful in any business, first win is the person that's receiving the service. Okay, the end user, the person that's watching this program right now, they got to be happy with the content that we're talking about and the sincerity of the message and our expertise. That's the first win. The second win will be for you, Nick. This is your show. You benefit from it. People do a consultation with Nick. People, give some contributions to your Cash App. People look out and tell people about Nick. That's the second win. The third win would be I benefit somehow that all those things happen. The content is good, the expertise, Nick is making money, and then all of a sudden, hey, you know what? Maybe we might better bring DJ in and speak for us. Win, win, win. 3 wins. And I got to credit that to my guy Clarence, who came up with that concept about 15 years ago. But those are some of the things that people just don't do. And like you said, if they're not obligated, hey, man, I'm in here for the grab. And that's a one-time relationship. So I'm about, spreading the wealth. And I'm not the easiest person to get along with. Just like Leonard Ray told you, very successful people are very demanding, very discriminating. I mean, in terms of what they want and their expectations. But they're very giving and very generous to everybody that deserves to have that blessing just because they know they've been blessed. And that's really what a rubber meets the road. And that's the reason why I'm excited about your show, because I saw, amazing talent, dedication, focus in you. And I said, hey, man, you need to be doing your own show, man. You're going to do it sooner or later. So why not do it sooner? And look now, man, it's blossoming. You got 2 shows coming on that you moderate, 3. Dude, so, man, I'm excited for that. And that blessing has already been paid back tenfold for us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we don't need anybody's validation, because at the end of the day, that name on the back of your jersey, name on the back of my jersey, always going to be platinum. Nobody's going to be able to say nothing negative about the Westbrook's name. Nobody's going to be able to say anything negative about DJ the Money Coach name, because they're going to have high respect, high regard for us. May not like us, but they're going to know we stand on principle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's priceless, brother.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And I think with all those principles that you gave and those tips that you just gave, I think that's a good place to conclude this conversation. But to tie things all together and put a bow on it, just remember to follow the money. And if you're making the money, make sure you're doing it ethically and morally sound. Apply the platinum rule, with your clients and your customers. Have systems in place prepare for the event of catastrophic occurrences. Be an early adopter, provide solutions to your clients. And on this 19th anniversary of 9/11, our hearts and our prayers go out to the family members who've lost people during the attacks or after the attacks. We're wishing you peace, peace of mind, and yeah, just keep your head up. You're gonna make it. So just to wrap up, just remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, 7 Spheres of Money. Follow us on social media, 7 Spheres of Money on YouTube and Instagram. The book of the month that we'll be discussing on October is Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. Yeah, so I had that on the way. So if you'd like to join in that conversation, and the first Friday of October, I believe is October 2nd, go ahead and get that book, and join in on that converation.
Shout out to Brandon. Shout out to our brother Brandon for hooking us on that book. Man, dude, I listen to that book every day. Every day. Read it as much as I can. And it ain't a day don't go by that I don't listen to that book, man. That is some powerful stuff. Matter of fact, I just to see if we can get Brandon on the show to talk about it, because man, he exemplifies and he is the personification of don't never eat alone. I mean, without a doubt. You talking about a big heart and never asking for anything in return, man. Wow. Yeah, if you don't get that book, then your wood is wet. And you know what happens to wet wood? It sinks. It sinks, man. So yeah, man, with that said, I'm gonna tell you, if you like this show, hit Nick up. Man, Nick is a wealth of knowledge, and Nick is an integrity-based guy. Absolutely. Get a consultation with Nick and get some common sense, because common sense is not common knowledge. That's what I'll say to you, because there's a lot of cats out on this platform don't know 1/10 of what Nick knows, and there's a lot of cats out of here don't even have a sliver of the integrity that Nick has. So you don't always have to be the best expert, but your integrity would take people a lifetime to earn. That's real. So, hey, man, again, another great show. So it's your deal, baby. Close it out. Yeah. So this is a great show. We also have another great show that comes on Wednesday night. A story. We have our master hairstylist and world traveler, financially free queen, talking everything, finances, hair care industry, spirituality, whatever else she's interested in. So and well educated. Don't discount. You got a master's degree too. And cosmetologist license, barber license, has an MBA, and she's a very successful business owner at the young age of less than 33 years of age, and she's financially independent. So let's not make sure they get these nuggets in that regard too, because some of these people out here, they always image managers. Oh man, how many certifications? How many degrees they got? Check. She check all those boxes.
Oh yeah, she got everything. She got all of that.
And free. Yeah. Financially, debt free, financially free. How about you get some of that cup of coffee too? You know what I'm saying? Get some of that cup of coffee. And also, check out, man, we got our next webinar coming up. Woo! It's going to be fire. Yep. We're going to talk about our projects. We got some more new success stories coming out of our, relationship with the phenomenal Erica Williams. Check out the Classy Climb, baby, because she is the real deal. And she's integrity-based, down to earth. Love it. So a lot of things coming up. Y'all better tune in. Check out them links below. Hit Nick up. Get ready next week and a week after next. Powerful webinar. Powerful new interviews coming up. Powerful success stories, man. I'm excited. September is rocking and rolling. And again, I sent out all my condolences that everybody was impacted by 9/11. All the families, our prayers go out to them. And, just hope that anybody that's been affected by coronavirus as well, our hearts and our condolences, our prayers go out to them also. I've been affected by it personally. I lost my number one mentor, beloved Harold Davis. and we're going to memorialize in Herald in November. So I just want to let everybody know, hey, stay prayed up, stay true to yourself, and only try to impress 2 people on the planet, God and your family. Everybody else is irrelevant. I'm DJ the Money Coach.
Yep. And with that said, we wish you a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. And we want you to join us on the Beaches of the World Club. So be safe. And until our next broadcast on Wednesday,